any sort of body motion or movement, not necessarily just hard exercise, but any sort of movement at all, may help move cerebral spinal fluid around in the brain and help remove this waste. So this may explain why, getting up and moving around frequently is good for brain health and prevents dementia and other problems. I'm Patrick Drew. I'm a professor in engineering science and mechanics at the Pennsylvania State University. One thing that scientists have observed is that your brain will move inside your skull. And so this motion is kind of surprising because your brain is not linked to any muscles. It's sort of floating in a fluid bath. And so the question is, why is this happening? What we showed in mice is that the motion of the brain is tightly linked to the contraction of abdominal muscles. And this is because there are blood vessels linking your spinal cord and your abdomen. And so when you contract your abdominal muscles, blood flows in, just like a hydraulic system. And this moves your brain around. We've been using simulations to show that this brain motion can help circulate cerebral spinal fluid, the fluid that clears waste from the brain. We think that this is important because clearing waste from the brain helps remove waste buildup that happens, that causes Alzheimer's and other degenerative diseases. And so our research showing that brain motion helps move the cerebral spinal fluid helps explain why things like exercise may be good for brain health. This kind of motion that we see is relatively small. It's not like the kind of motion you would get from head trauma. It's just sort of the brain sort of moving a small amount inside the brain, smooshing the fluid around. This is the kind of motion that gets generated when you walk or contract your abdominal muscles, which you do whenever you engage in any physical behavior. This brain motion might also explain why things like coughing, in which you use your abdominal muscles and your brain moves a lot, might be painful because it's pushing on the skin that surrounds the brain called the dura.
Francesco Costanzo, and I'm a professor in engineering science and mechanics. My modeling was modeling of fluid flow, and there are all sorts of equations that can be used to describe that. The set of equations we chose is practically the same as those you would use when you describe the flow of fluid within a sponge. The brain has a structure that is not unlike that, in the sense that you have a solid skeleton and fluid can move through that. And so that's what we did. There is a lot of literature out there concerning how fluid moves through sponge-like things. I know this may seem a little strange, but even the extractions of oil from rocks, for example, uses the same type of math. So for us to conceptualize the brain in that way allows us to draw from everything that has built up to now in these kind of fields. Of course, one needs to adjust going from extracting oil from the ground to fluid in the brain. But the math is, the beauty of math is that it's that flexible. It allows you to sort of cover a lot of ground and a lot of physics.
Dementia and other neurodegenerative diseases are very hard to understand. We have a relatively poor understanding of what causes them. We know that there are some genetic components to them, but there are also very large environmental components, and things that you can do that can prevent them are something that we want to encourage the population to do. And so one thing that helps prevent these sorts of diseases or reduce their incidence is engaging in exercise and being active. And our research helps point to a mechanism, a biological mechanism, why moving around might help keep your brains healthy. You just have to stand there. Is that good?
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool.